The Hip Hop Report. Once again, I'm your host, Rambo Hustle. If you haven't watched this before, if it's your first time visiting the show or the channel, one of the videos, make sure you hit that subscribe button. We definitely appreciate it. Leave a comment after the video. Let us know what you thought. Do you agree? Do you disagree? Your opinion matters more than mine at the end of the day. I'm just here to give you some entertainment, a little escape from your day-to-day, and maybe a third-party opinion that maybe doesn't match what all the other media outlets are talking about. Now, today's primary objective is to discuss the differences between two prominent beefs in hip-hop that have taken extremely different turns. Now, on one turn we have the Drake-Meek Mill beef, and on the other side we have the Nicki Minaj-Cardi B beef. Both very, I would say they're fairly different in the sense of that the Drake and Meek Mill beef has been very evident, and it has been very public. It has been very musically driven. While the Nicki Minaj Cardi B beef seems to be behind the curtains, and also has been seemed to be somewhat, I don't know, they've been trying to hide this for so long when we knew they had issues. I also like to point out the difference in between the two. From a male landscape, there's so much more competition, yet these two prominent artists in this generation that both have their own right success, one obviously much more than the other, but seemingly from after back-to-back, everyone seemed to deem Meek Mill as a lost cause and just basically labeled him a big-ass L. And that didn't seem to pan out the way that everyone thought it was, because Meek Mill, being the street savvy guy that he was, the resilient guy that he was able to overcome those obstacles and that challenge of overcoming what his brand and what his image had gone through, beefing with Drake, to surpass that and get to this point now. Now, what I will like to say in regards to that beef, honestly, is what the fuck? Jay Prince, I don't know if he's still selling this book, but I want to know what happened. I want to know why it was cool to dead this beef, right? Because that's what he did. He came in and deaded this beef so he could sell his book and so he could maybe savor whatever careers were left, whatever was going on behind the scenes, for the sake of saving names. And at the same time, then Drake waits a month and a half after his album drops, and now he's dissing Kanye again. I want to know where Pusha T is. I want to know where my surgical summer went. I want to know where my surgical fall is going to be, because I'm tired of hearing this Drake tough talk to Kanye and good music, essentially, because if we're one, we're one. And, you know, if you talk about the boss, then I got to come for your head. So I'm curious to know how this beef was deaded, yet Drake continues to take shots at one half of the throne. Which, if you hadn't heard, there was word that there was a throne number 2 coming with Jay-Z and Kanye. We're all extremely excited about that, but that gives you some light on the fact that all this fucking industry shit is smoke and mirrors, and the beefs are pretty much just ploys to sell records, to keep names ringing, and Kanye has been definitely one of the names that has kept things in motion all summer long and still to this day. Now, do I think the Meek Mill Drake thing and being squashed and making peace is great? Absolutely, I think it's fantastic, but it does bring up a point that I've been wanting to discuss for several weeks, and is, you know, coming up in the music industry and entertainment, a lot of us tend to have relationships that go sour, relationships that go bad, fallouts with people that we have love for because we don't see eye to eye in, you know, X, Y, or Z topic. Now, what I want to point out is that a lot of times we let this pride allow us to carry this beef and hold on to this grudge for so long. A couple years later, you meet back up with that person, you realize, holy shit, this was about nothing. And you wasted 2, 3, 4 years of your life with that person that you could have been building, progressing, pushing each other to become better and elevate your skills. And, you know, to be honest with you, as somebody who's gone through that plenty of times, I can tell you that you never get that time back. You never are able to recoup that time with that person and create some peace after that, because you've already missed out on those opportunities. You've already missed out on that time with that person, and based on pride and ego and just not being able to get over and communicate your differences to continue progressing. You don't have to agree on everything, but you should at least be able to communicate where you disagree, why you disagree, and if that's something that you can overcome. Which I can tell you right now, unless you and your homies are multi-millionaires like Meek Mill and Drake, well, even up to that point, now you have no excuses. Because even these two guys that had such a, tabloid friendly beef and fallout were able to make amends, even if it was 2-3 years down the road. But imagine the kind of records that we could have had from Drake and Meek Mill in the past 2-3 years if they would have just deaded this bullshit years ago. Now, let me double back for a second. For a lot of you young kids that are out here, you love hip-hop and you're entertained by hip-hop and you love the drama and the talking shit and the trolling and blah, 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 blah. Quit the bullshit. Because when shit really goes down and shit gets real, then you want to say, oh, well, this is, it shouldn't come to this. This is what you guys promote. This is what you guys have been hyping up this whole time. You guys love the entertainment, right? Well, unfortunately, this entertainment does become real from time to time, and people that are in the forefront of that, which are the artists that you are fans of, that you crown as king or queen or whatever you support, these are the people that have to face these consequences. In regards to Nicki Minaj and Cardi B, I can tell you from how I personally feel about it that Nicki Minaj right now is in a fast route to a fast decline, to even faster decline. I don't think her radio show, even though it will do numbers and it will be successful, I don't think it's going to help her legacy and her image and her persona at all. I think up to this point, especially with her calling out Cardi and saying that she doesn't have any class and blah, 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 blah. Let I remind you of Nicki Minaj's entire video catalog for the Queen album. I would expect you to be able to diversify your visuals and your rollout and your marketing presentation a little bit better than this, to where your ass, your titties, and your sexuality don't have to spearhead the entire campaign. Now, as far as Cardi B, I can tell you that she is about that shit, and that's why you saw what happened at Fashion Week happen, because Cardi B is... Hey, listen, even if she doesn't write her records, she is rapping records that she is absolutely about. And Nicki Minaj should not try to diminish her skill level by saying that you don't write your shit, because I tell you what, whatever she's spitting, regardless of who wrote it, she is clearly about that life. So I would be very careful if I was Nicki Minaj treading down that lane, because at some point they could get messy. And it already got messy, and if you're familiar with what's going on, there was a shoe thrown, Cardi B came out with a huge knot from a security guard. It's not gonna get any prettier moving forward, regardless of how much ass Nicki Minaj shows. So we have to tread carefully down this line. People wanna brush to the side what they said and who it was to in a record. You have to be and have the self-awareness to understand that if you are a high-profile celebrity, artist, recording artist, rapper, whatever the case is, and you say something on a record, you have to be aware of who that could be applicable to, regardless of when you recorded it, regardless of who it was about. And I think, to me, that's the biggest difference in between Cardi and Nicki. Cardi seems to make music that isn't just her taking random stray shots at people and everyone that's not her, like Nicki has in a lot of her music, belittling other women and shaming women who are not on her physical skill or monetary stature. Cardi B seems to have a very light dose of that in her music, but a lot of it seems to have a very empowerment-based undertone. And in regards to her content, she seems to carry the torch for women across the globe, which is why her music has been received the way it has. Now, again, like I said before, it would be great to see women that want to compete in hip-hop as not women or men, but as contenders for the crown, and attack men and not just fight within each other. After all, there's only like 3 or 5 of y'all. And even though there's a bunch of women out there that are actually repping music and making great records and putting out great music, unfortunately they just don't have the light, because a lot of these top tier women artists don't collaborate with other women artists to bring them up into the spotlight. And I think maybe that's a great solution to us having such a limited amount of options when we talk about female MCs. So again, the difference between the two beefs are that the competition on the male side is so much that it makes no sense, and it's actually hurting your pockets to not work with these people, as opposed to on the female side, it seems to be That's what we want. We want these debates. We want these battles because we don't have a lot of options. So we don't have the time to push these women to work together. We want to see them clash. And even though I think that's an extremely toxic way to look at our women in hip hop and to treat our women in hip hop, that is the reality of where we are at as the fans, as the audience, and as the people running these labels and situations that aren't aware enough to understand the difference between lyrics that are written and lyrics that can take action. With that being said, it's your boy Rambo Hustle with the Hip Hop Report, reporting once again. Make sure you go check out that new Russ album, Zoo. We'll do a review probably later on this week once I get my ear around it. I don't think that's a time-sensitive project, but I do want to review it because I think that he is in the progression and honestly extremely overlooked. So we'll get to that soon. Peace, love, hip-hop.